Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I bet you did not expect to see this face here on this broadcast. I have to say, welcome everybody to Racing Liga. And here we're having some top tier action on the PC side of F1 2021. And we're looking forward to it. The sandy circuit of Bahrain is where we're heading, folks. And I'm not alone. I am joined by Austin Smith, also known as the Badgerman. Austin, how are you?
Fantastically, George. I'm very much looking forward to this Bahrain season opener. Interesting tires, interesting strategy choices potentially. It's a new season and I can't wait to get on with it.
Yeah, seriously, I'm so excited. Obviously, there's so much happening in this coming week, of course. We're all going to be very busy, folks. Obviously, the new game. It's obviously a dawning of a new era on the Formula One series here on F1 2021. PSGL coming on Thursday and WR coming on Sunday. The PC leagues are really starting to rise up out of the ground and start to hit full fluctuation. It's really starting to get really spicy. I can already see the live chat going absolutely mental tonight. Jake Finch, how are you doing, buddy? Christian Sendel, an old face there, who tunes into my streams as well. Hello, buddy. I am Khan as well. Rumba Pedreño, welcome. Shazoo Neon, F1 Poems as well. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Big hello to Philip MD as well. Plenty of big names. Big C as well in the live chat, as well as many others. Leon VPL and VSR Duncan as well from the PlayStation side. Awesome. I have to say, nothing better than starting a brand new season on the PC, or certainly on the F1 game, and it's all kicking off here at Sakia International. We've got some big names here as well, haven't we, Austin?
Yeah, we do. I mean, just look at that lineup right there. We got Carter Lundy, Dylan Warren, HX4K, Alpos Kaya. I mean, Liam Parnell, of course, the admin of the Racing Liga Global here. Ruben Pedreño, Bryn, Duza. I mean, I could read just all 20 names, quite honestly, and they would all be incredibly fantastic drivers.
Absolutely. Just look at this now. We can already see that the entire grid, full 20, by the way, folks. So what a way to start a World Championship. And as we said, this league is actually following the PSGL calendar. So a lot of these guys will certainly use this to sort of gauge their performance, try some new things potentially. I mean, we're going to be seeing some real hard, almost like School of Hard Knocks racing here today. It's going to be really, really awesome. I can already see that Cartalundi making his way out onto the circuit. There you can see his rear wing, the Petronas rear wing, and sponsor, of course, ahead of in there is a McLaren. That could either, well, Jake Finch has not come out yet, so that will be, I think, Gabe LeWand as well, making his way onto the outlap. No, it is Jake Finch, indeed. I'm sure Gabe LeWand will not be too far behind him as well. Ruben Pedreño here on track. WR Bryn, who has been lighting things up in pre-season as well. Shazoo Neon, of course, one to watch. Liam Parnell, of course, historically with CRG too, so plenty of names here to look out for as they make their way now. We're riding on board here with Cartalundi as he makes his way around turn 4. And certainly, as we look at Bahrain here, Austin, a track you don't really want to fraternise with. The grip levels can be a bit inconspicuous. Certainly, the curbs are dangerous. A lot to be aware of at this circuit here tonight.
Yeah, definitely. And we already remember from last game and from, I think, multiple previous games that the inside curb in the second sector, at the end of the second sector, that would be turn 12, through which a couple of cars are going through right now, but Cartalundi's not there yet. That is one to avoid. We will get there in just a second, but Codemasters have decided, you know what? This track isn't spicy enough. We need more dangerous curves. This one is the one I'm talking about if we're still on board with Cartalundi. He's actually going on it. It's very low speed, so it's not that bad. But if you go full speed over that one, you are almost guaranteed to spin. But if we look at the exit of turn 7 as well, at the start of the second sector, that exit curb is also one. If you take a little bit too much of that, you are likely to be gone. And there's a lot here that you have to be wary of, much more wary than on the last game.
Yeah, well, 15 minutes and counting. Obviously, just over that. Cartalundi now making his way down towards turn 1. We'll obviously use him as a reference point, at least for now, as he makes his way around the first corner. Beckoning now around turn 2, and very shortly around turn 3 as well. DRS opens up now for the Black Arrow, donning, of course, a white helmet there. A nice little bit of colour. Of course, I do like some of the designs they have out on this game this season. It certainly is going to be very special indeed, as now he winds his way through turns 5, 6, and now 7, down towards turn and 8. You're almost turning back on yourself at this very point, as you now need to grip onto the apex to try and find a nice angle on the exit. Now powering down towards turn 9, and then you've got that real difficult bend into turn 10, of course. Very easy to oversteer or even understeer in some cases. A little shake of the rear, and Cartalundi now bombs down as Oskaya already hits the top end with a 124.9. Obviously a good initial banker to set the trend, as now Cartalundi makes his way out of sector 2 into sector 3. A shake of the rear again as he brushed the curb. Certainly not the way you want to start, but he's okay. Makes his way now around the next right-hander. This, of course, being turn 13. He's got a semi-stretch to deliver now. WR Bryn nets a 126.562. 2 seconds back. Liam Parnell goes ahead now into P1 with a 124.727. Cartalundi looking to try and land a blow here early on. Can he do it? With DRS opens up, P3 is what he'll garner. I think that shake of the tail heading into sector 3 is what did it, as Neon moves into P2.
Yeah, I think so too. I think 0.3 of a second is exactly what he lost there. Maybe a little less than that, but he still could have challenged, at least for the provisional front row, without that mistake. But it was a very uncommon mistake that he made there. It was a very interesting one, because usually you don't see cars run that wide through turn 11. They try to stay very narrow because, of course, they want to open up turn 12, the right-hander, as much as possible. And so very interesting to see him run that wide, and it came back to bite him there, losing him a bunch of time, and now he's all the way down to P6 already.
Yeah, interesting to see as well. The medium tyres being donned by a few drivers too. Already Javier Fernandez has landed a time of 126.525, as well as WR Bryn, who is just behind him on a 126.562. Gable Awand lands a time across the line with a 125.615 on the soft tyres. And we're now on board, not on board, but watching Dylan Warren as Jeffrey Ritchie heads into P1 with a 124.637 and goes nearly a tenth quicker than Liam Parnell. Certainly flexing the muscles here in the early showing. Great start by Jeffrey Ritchie as Dylan Warren now plows his way down towards the final couple of bends here, as he now tries to set his first fast lap around the circuit of Bahrain. Sakia is looking onwards as the Red Bull plows its way into the pit lane, and certainly not taking her time on this occasion. A great installation lap, I'm sure, though, just getting his car used to the track surface, but I'm sure he will land a set of softs on the car and try and net a, well, I would say a more competitive time. We'll have to wait and see. Plenty of cars out on track, though, including that man, Ruben Pedreño, as well, Austin.
Yeah, and just to quickly talk about Dylan Warren, that he invalidated in the middle sector, so I think that a lap was not going to happen for a long time. But there's still 12 minutes left, plenty of time for all these drivers to set a bunch of competitive lap times, as we see Ruben Pedreño here coming through the final corner and really taking a lot of curb there. And it is P1 for the Spaniard, 124.5, a tenth ahead of Jeffrey Ritchie. Very, very strong showing indeed from the AlphaTauri driver.
Yep, certainly pulling no punches is Ruben Pedreño. An early showing here with well over certainly 10 minutes left to go. 11 minutes, in fact, still to go in qualifying. So we're very far from seeing the heavy hitters coming through. Obviously, as the track warms up, we'll start to see the deltas start to come down quite aggressively. And plenty of quality out on this track as Ecos Fabio makes his way around the circuit too. Plenty now out on outlaps, including HX4K, of course. Also known as John, who's making his way around the track as well in the Mercedes. His teammate, of course, being Cartalundi. These two, of course, will be a very formidable pairing. Certainly known in the WR scene as well, as we're now watching the Black Arrow make its way down through turns 9 and 10. And you want to try and get those tyres nicely warmed up. And how key is that around a track such as Bahrain, Austin? Because you need all the grip possible, certainly. I'm not sure whether it's the sand granules or something like that. There just seems to be something about Bahrain that tends to make grip a little bit more difficult to obtain.
Certainly is either, but the whole makeup of the track just makes it so difficult. And one thing I think, because of the temperatures, even at night here at Bahrain, one thing you have to be careful of is to not overheat the tires. So you have to strike the right balance. You can't have them too cold, but you also can't have them too hot, because that will ultimately just make you slide through that middle sector, and that's mostly where you gain or lose on a lap.
Yeah, well, test of strength certainly around Bahrain as we're now watching HX4K make his way around turn 1 out of turn 2 as well. Yellow flags opened up in Sector 3 and Sector 1 now, so I'm not sure what's going on further through the lap, whether that's just a car going on a slow out lap just to try and get the tyres prepped as he now winds his way through turn 4 here, HX4K. Here in the Mercedes, those donned by Lewis Hamilton and Valtteri Bottas now as they wind through the middle sector very shortly around turn 8 now, and just easing the brakes so you can just see a slight lock up there, but he's okay. Powers out, down through towards the next left-hander at turn 9. And as the Mercedes now just winds his way down, just eases the car through, does not hit so much the apex there. A little run off on the curb, heading out now towards turn 11. And he's going to have to certainly take great care as he now winds the car up through this next left-hander. This final sector can be oh so treacherous as we're now watching HX4K now just keeping the throttle primed on the car. Looks like he might have slowed down here though, Austin. Maybe not happy after that escapade around turn 10.
Yeah. So now he's cutting the corners as well. Yep. HX4K. I think what I saw is not so much that he wasn't happy with turns 9 and 10. I think on the back straight there may have been some other issues, some I guess either connection issues or game lag issues involved, because he seems to have lagged out. I was on board with him. He lagged out twice, and that set the car back a little bit. I think the game may have frozen for him, and that may have slowed him down enough to abort this lap. Let's hope these issues don't hit him again, and this time he gets a good lap. But no, he has invalidated already on this lap as well. So HX4K, he's gonna have to regroup and find another attempt in another set of tires. Yeah, well, Liam Parnell has actually managed to nick P1 back again as well. Jeffrey Ritchie up into P3, of course. Ozkaya managing to land a 124.823, but Liam Parnell is now leading the fray for the Red Bull team. He's going to be absolutely thrilled with that, just pipping Ruben Pedreño, who is in P2. The Red Bull family enjoying both cars currently up in the top end. Of course, AlphaTauri being donned in P2. Ecos Fabio there. Jake Finch is into P10 as well, currently out and about on a lap as well. Dylan Warren also making his way around the circuit on fresh soft tyres, just making his way around turn 10 as well. And whether he can don his Red Bull up into the top 10 as well will be certainly one to look upon. I think he's actually taking things rather slowly right now. Another outlap on the cards here for Dylan Warren, and needs to try and land something certainly fairly quickly as the time starts to tick downwards. We've only got 7 minutes remaining, and that may seem a lot, but still, you need to try and get something in as soon as possible, because there's nothing worse than not setting a banker lap until this late stage. Yeah, we've seen it on this game plenty of times. Drivers trying to get the banker lap in, but just overcooking it, and Dylan Warren has done the same thing here. Track limit violation in the middle sector, and that invalidated his lap here. So he's going for another one right now, as we have a yellow flag in sector 3. I think that is going... that is for a Red Bull going slow. Liam Parnell into the pit lane. Now we have it in Sector 2. That is a Haas going slowly. Either JST, who's up to P4 now, or Alposkaya in P5. And again, Dylan Warren just runs too wide on the exit of turn 2 and gets all 4 wheels off the track, and the stewards do not like that whatsoever. Another track limit infraction, and therefore lap invalidation for Dylan Warren. Yeah, Mercedes also need a bit of a turn up for the books here as well, as we're now watching Carter Lundy making his way through the first few bends, of course, now making his way down towards turn 4, and they need an upturn in their fortunes. He's already set a lap of a 125, near enough dead on, but certainly he's going to want to improve a lot more than that if he wants to feature at the top end and try and get closer to Liam Parnell's 124.5. The times are so close up in this top 10, of course. If you look at Liam Parnell, Ruben Pedreño, and Jeffrey Ritchie, of course, all of them almost within a tenth. Jeffrey Ritchie just on the bubble a little bit with a 124.637, but as you can see, plenty of them all in the 124s. P1 to PH Hazu Kersey, the last of which to land 124s, currently in the top 8. Carter Lundy on the cusp of that zone, certainly up in the classification. Ecos Fabio joins the party with a 124.901. A great show in there from Ferrari as now Carter Lundy makes his way around the
next right-hander maybe just runs over the curbs a little bit too much on the exit. Powering down now towards turn 14 and very shortly through turn 15 as well. His teammate HX4K currently in the pit lane, still yet to field a lap time. So what can Cartalundi do to try and give something a burst of hope here for the Black Arrow? P3 is what he got as he joins the 124s, a 124.631. Not quite enough for the front row, but he will settle for P3. Not bad at all, Austin.
Yeah, after 2 sectors, he was only on pace to get a top 5 to be behind both Jeffrey Ritchie and JST. But look how close the gap is. We're talking 18 milliseconds between those 3. That's the time he gained, and then some, of course. But he somehow flipped that around. He was about half a tenth short of these 2, and he almost gained a whole tenth there on Ritchie and JST in the final sector, and that put him, provisionally at least, on the second row of the grid.
Yeah, well, Dylan Warren has actually left the session. I don't know what's happened there, but maybe he's having a few issues. I'm not sure whether that's... don't think it's quite a retirement. He's just rejoined now, so maybe just a little technical fault there for Dylan Warren. WR Bryn, who's currently the last of those who have set lap times. Another mistake, though, heading through turn 3. The Aston Martin looking a little uneasy out on this track. Certainly, we have spoken, of course, about Sakhir International Circuit and the amount of grip on this track. You have to be so dangerous. You tend to favour more of a downforcey setup, and again you can see a little flick of the rear there on that Aston Martin. It's looking a little bit treacherous, a little unnerving.
P1.
Welcome back, folks. Do apologise about that. For some reason, we got thrown out of what I did. I got thrown out of everything. But rest assured, we are back now. Apologies on that. We're going to head over for the final laps of qualifying, which will be back now. So, yeah, apologies, folks. Bit of an odd one. Do apologise. Just waiting for the sound to come back through, in fact, as well, because the sound's now dead on the game, so a bit weird. But we're currently waiting for the drivers to now field out their next lap. So we'll rejoin the action now, folks. We're now breezing across. You can see there's certainly the action as we can see out on the track. The game sounds so quiet for me, Austin. I don't know what's going on, mate, but here we go. We're back to it anyway. Liam Parnell is currently on pole position. It looks like he's managed to obtain P1 as well.
Yeah, he had a very good lap there right at the end on the buzzer, if you will. He started his lap, and he was actually one of the first ones to start his last lap, but past the 0-second mark, he came across the line and took pole position away from HX4K, who will start in P2 on the front row of the grid alongside him.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. There you have it, folks. It is Liam Parnell on P1 with HX4K in P2. Red Bull and Mercedes sharing the top spot. How familiar does that look? Looking further down, Dylan Warren managing to get it at the very death of qualifying. P3 for the man in the Red Bull. Ruben Pedreño for AlphaTauri up into P4. Jeffrey Ritchie in P5 with Alp Oskaya in P6 with Catalundi P7, as well as JST in P8. Kersey P9. Duza in P10, Manolin in P11, P12 for Shazoo Neon, Jake Finch in P13, Fabio takes P14 spot, and that's our top 14 that we can see on the screens, folks. But how about that for a qualifying session? Apologies that we didn't get to see all of the end there, folks, but nevertheless, what a pairing we have at the top end. And certainly we did speak about this prior to going on air, Austin. Lots to be certainly excited about in terms of a lot of these drivers, because they're all looking to try and get into esports. Just how important is it for them to succeed at this stage of the game?
Well, it's hugely important. If you can get off the right foot this early on, it builds confidence, it makes you more motivated. And one thing that is so important for these drivers is motivation. You need to stay on the game the whole time, and it can be quite frustrating at times. So if you get off early, you get off to a good start, and you get that motivation early on, and you keep grinding, you keep going, that is a very, very good indicator to actually make it towards and potentially into F1 esports at some point. And let's talk about the track a little bit and the tires, because we haven't gone into that too much, but it's going to be hugely important for this race. Because the soft tire, it really only lasts about 10 laps, and that already includes the qualifying lap that they have done. The mediums last 14, and the hard tires last 18. So you do the math. If we take 10 laps on the softs plus 18 on the hards, that's 28. We look in the top left, that says 29 right there. It's getting very, very spicy. But the soft tire also is over a second quicker than the medium in fresh condition, with the hard tire only being half a second slower than the medium. So not much difference between those two, but the soft significantly faster, which opens up a couple of possibilities here. We could see a little bit of soft to hard one stop for the top 10. I think that is the most likely scenario. Maybe a two stop, but I mean, that's risking it with 22.5 seconds lost in the pit lane. On the other hand, for those outside the top 10, I think hard to medium is going to be the better choice here, or medium to hard, as we see from Neon, Fabio, Javier Fernandez, Biter, and Eduardo Garcia, who are all starting on the medium tires outside the top 10, the rest on the hards. That seems to be the better strategy, despite not using the fastest tire, the significantly fastest tire, that is. They have the opportunity here to easily make it to the end on decent tires, not lose too much time, not slide around too much, and I think that is the way it's going to go for those outside the top 10.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, folks, I want to hear from you. Please land your tips, or who do you think is going to take victory here in this Bahrain Grand Prix? I'd like to welcome you all to Racing Liga. It's a pleasure to be here at the Sakhir International Circuit. Please make sure that you land your predictions in the live chat. I want to hear from you as well, Austin. Who do you fancy for this one?
Sorry. Apologies there. I think it's going to be between two drivers. I think or let's say three. I think Liam Parnell and HX4K have the best opportunity to get something going for those that qualified inside the top 10. But do not count out Manolin in P11. That is the alternative strategy pole position right there. And I would not be surprised if that alternate strategy really pays dividends throughout the race. And we see someone from outside the top 10 really, really high up the table.
Absolutely. Well, we're just about to get ready now for all 5 lights. There's the second light, third light, fourth light, and the fifth light. And it's pedal to the metal. Go, 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 go. We're away for a brand new Racing League season. Liam Parnell, straight from the get-go, leads the way into turn 1. In behind there, the Mercedes of HX4K with Dylan Warren. Just in behind as well. In behind, you got the Alpha Tauri of Ruben Pedreño. Jeffrey Ritchie in behind him too. Only a 10th back. Further down, WR Bryn trying to get into the mix. They're going 4 wide further back as well with Jake Finch, who's currently trying to slow his way through turn 4. Has managed to hold on to that P12 position. What a start there for the McLaren. In front of him though, Sig Biter as well, trying to find his way through the Aston Martin of WR Bryn, but the leader still without question. Liam Parnell leading the way for Red Bull. It's giving him wings. He's leading here in lap 1.
We have 2 casualties from the start. One is, of course, TF10 Manolin, the guy I just mentioned on the alternate strategy pole position. He spun on the exit of turn 3, and he is now down in last. And the other seems to be Alpos Kaya, who has disconnected from the session, so he is no longer in control of that car. And as such, the soft tires on this car do not help him whatsoever. He's just falling down the order because he is not in charge.
No, not at all. Just looking further down, Kersey as well, right in the mix of his own battle. He's got JST in ahead of, well, sitting ahead of him here in the Haas, and 3 to 4 tenths of a second the deficit. You can already see the gap starting to build now between those on the hards and those on the softs. Liam Parnell currently setting the fastest lap, of course, leading the way. 1:30.036 DRS is now enabled, folks, here on lap 3 of 29, as we're now watching them make their way through turn 1. Liam Parnell leads the way. HX4K hotly following in behind as well. Dylan Warren in the mix too as they round their way down through towards turn 4. As you can now see, Liam Parnell still in charge here. HX4K closely following in behind. Dylan Warren in P3-2 for Red Bull. Certainly they're looking very, very smart at this initial stage. Further down, Gable Awand as well. Eduardo Garcia is in the fight too, but as you can see there, Alpos Kaya nets himself a 3-second time penalty. You don't want too many of those, certainly in this very early stage, but still at this moment in time, the Red Bull leads the charge, leading the way. You'll be delighted with that. Liam Parnell still leading the Grand Prix.
Yeah, but he's got HX4K right behind him very, very dangerously. Not for now, but it's all going to be about the ERS management, because you gain so much time from the ERS, as it was the case on the last game. The more you have left towards the end, the easier it is to make an overtake happen. And Liam Parnell has to be very careful as HX4K almost loses it through the corner there. Gets a massive moment, and now Dylan Warren is all over the back of him. HX4K has to use a lot of ERS there, and he's outside the 1 second window, which means with the DRS now about to be enabled once they come across the line, HX4K is going to be incredibly vulnerable.
Yeah, he certainly will be. Dylan Warren already right in the rear here of HX4K. Nothing separates them. A little clanging and banging though. Jeffrey Ritchie down the outside heading into turn 1. The Alpine tries to go for a move. Cannot find a way through as they wind their way through turns 3. Very, very shortly down the stretch now. Liam Parnell enjoying a half a second advantage. Dylan Warren though right in the midst of a fight here with that man Jeffrey Ritchie. The Alpine leaving no stone unturned. Can't find a way through. Well defended by Dylan Warren. Holds on to that P3 spot. Getting really spicy now here in lap 3 of 29. Do apologise, folks. We have some problems with the timing tower. It's all come back now. DRS will be, I'm sure, officially enabled now at this very point in the race. But Liam Parnell owning his P1 spot for now. HX4K in P2. Dylan Warren in P3. Already we have a retirement too. 2 retirements. Ozkea and Gable Awand out of the race here.
Guy, car is positioned on the exit of turn 7. That is exactly what I talked about earlier. And Neon is going slowly as well. She's in here. Oh, that's the virtual safety car. That's why. I think Alpos Kaya did what I talked about earlier. That exit curb turn 7, that got him. And he just spun off to the left and into the wall out of the race. I'm pretty sure that's what happened there. Looking at how the car was positioned right before turn 8 to the left side. I think that's exactly what was going on there, as we are back under green now, and Liam Parnell has a significant lead over HX4K. What has happened there?
Yeah, what a restart as well. Dylan Warren now having a go at P2's HX4K, but look who's coming to join him, Jeffrey Ritchie. But Dylan Warren with the Red Bull gives him wings. He lets fly into P2. Jeffrey Ritchie fancies a go as well, makes his way up into P3. HX4K losing absolutely tremendous amounts of ground here. Ruben Pedreño also fancies a go. The AlphaTauri slips through. 3 positions garnered here in the space of a single lap. Lost here by HX4K. His teammate Carter Lundy wants to have a go at him as well, but nevertheless does not manage to do it. HX4K down to P5. What a move from Dylan Warren, the ultimate opportunist. Takes up P2, as well as Jeffrey Ritchie up to P3. Ruben Pedreño in P4. What a restart after that VSC, Austin.
Comes 4K, very surprising here to see him struggle so much on the VSC restart, but it caught him at the worst possible time, and now he might be fodder for Carter Lundy, his teammate, as well. We are going to see how that's going to pan out, but right now HX4K almost losing the back of Ruben Pedreño, 8/10 of a second, 9/10 of a second. I think he will have the DRS still, just about, yep, 9.5/10. He will have the DRS on Ruben Pedreño, and he is opening it as well. Yes, so it looked to me like HX4K may have had a DRS issue.
Jeffrey Ritchie down the outside now, Dylan Warren, and strikes a move there for P2. An excellent move by the Alpine. He was vulnerable, Dylan Warren, without DRS. And now Dylan Warren will try and garner his position back. Opens up the back flap here on the Red Bull. Goes in behind there. The rear wing of the Alpine takes a dive into turn 4. Could not find the answer. A little grip loss there from Alpine's Jeffrey Ritchie. They go wheel to wheel down through turns 5, 6, and 7. But Dylan Warren, brilliant. Absolutely sensational racing there between those two, and it's brought Ruben Pedreño right into the fight. Sorry to cut you off there, Austin, but Dylan Warren, take a bow, great defending, retook that P2. Jeffrey Ritchie, though, give him credit, did try and garner at least something positive here early in lap 5. Excellent to see these guys laying it all on the line here tonight.
Yeah, you know who's gonna see that in the mirror? Liam Parnell, because the more those two battle, the more he can just drive off into the distance. So he's loving this right now. Dylan Warren and Jeffrey Ritchie, I think they would appreciate if the other wouldn't fight that much. But hey, that's racing, guys. You gotta fight for that position. And I think we're gonna see the same thing again on the next lap right here. Jeffrey Ritchie really close, 3/10 of a second. DRS now on the next straight, on the main straight. And I think Jeffrey Ritchie's gonna go for it again. ERS enabled limit. No, he goes into the pit lane. That's early.
Yeah, if you can't do it on the track, bail it into the pit lane. That could be a very, very interesting strategy call. Dylan Warren now holding on to P2, but he's got Ruben Pedreño, who is also a very quick driver in behind him as well. Also part of the Red Bull family, if you take into consideration AlphaTauri, of course, as they make their way down the next stretch. Liam Parnell enjoying a lot of freedom here. 2.8 seconds, the deficit between him and his teammate Dylan Warren. Extraordinary here in lap 6 of 29. Ruben Pedreño there in P3 too. HX4K right in the fight too. Jake Finch making a move on the outside. Javier Fernandez trying to hold him off, but look at that. Oh my word, contact with Sig Biter as well, and he gets bitten by that of Jake Finch as they round their way towards turn 8. There you can see the McLaren of Aston Martin of WR Brain going off the track. Javier Fernandez fancies a move himself, but no move could be made. WR Brain saves his bacon around turn 10. It got so close around that turn 8. A real minimal contact, but enough really around Bahrain to cause a collision as Javier Fernandez, right on the tail of that Aston Martin, takes the left-hand side, heading up through turn 11. Brilliant stuff. Javier Fernandez making moves now on the medium tyres. A switch back by WR Brindo. Looks to try and regain it as they make their way around the next right. A real cluster, a fight, a hustle as well. As he's been rear-ended. Sig Biter. He's been bitten again. He's off into the barrier. Damage surely sustained on that Williams, Austin.
Car have suffered some damage, but he seems to keep going for now. But I think WR Brain's rear tires are completely lit up. I think he was struggling so much because he lost it through turn 7 on the previous lap. He still goes for the move here, though. Maybe the tires have cooled down by now. Goes for the move. He should have the DRS now to drive away from Javier Fernandez, bring up to P9, and Jake Finch is out.
Yeah, and he's not alone. Mena went for a spin as well around turn 1, but Javier Fernandez losing out there slightly. WR Bryn managing to regain that P1 spot. Just look above, though, folks, at the top end. Look at Liam Parnell, 2.8 seconds, still pretty much the gap. In behind as well, Ruben Pedreño still on the tail of Dylan Warren. That could be a battle that we'll see next as Javier Fernandez takes a dive into P8, certainly, P9 around turn 8. WR Bryn just left the door wide open. It was so easy. And managed to take it right off him there. Certainly the Aston Martin is licking his wounds now, looking to try and re-garner that position. He's right on the tail of certainly Javier Fernandez. Now the Aston Martin really needs to get back to work, certainly try and find a better way of handling that turn 8. It seems to trick him certainly every time, but naturally I think the job has just been made that much more difficult with the grip levels around this circuit. Hard tyres are not your friend around a track like Bahrain. It's so tough because the hard tyres obviously lack the grip that the mediums and the softs do, and certainly around a track like Bahrain where already traction is minimal, it's two negatives and they do not become a positive, folks.
See what Bryn was doing there, he was weaving a little bit, even though he's behind Javier Fernandez, who wasn't weaving. To actually, like, there was no breaking the slipstream or anything there. I think he has issues with the tire temperatures. I think Bryn's tires may be too cold potentially.
Could well be. We're just seeing as well 2 Mercedes going at it now around this middle sector. And I believe we're also seeing plenty of others going to the pit as well. Mena, Fabio and Garcia as well. HX4K currently in P5 under pressure from JST. And remember, those two were battling it out in the early stages of lap 8. It got really frisky between that of Cartalundi and HX4K. But still they battle on. Ruben Pedreño getting closer and closer to Dylan Warren. There you can see the AlphaTauri just making his way into the final sector now. There you can see Dylan Warren doing all he can to keep the AlphaTauri behind him, but Ruben Pedreño is a relentless character. He's got all the ability to do the business as they make their way down now. He might get into it early here. Ruben Pedreño down the inside there. Dylan Warren has left the session. That's going to make him a sitting duck. A late break for the AlphaTauri moves him up into P2, and he can effectively hold on to this and try and close the gap. No, he opts to pit, but that could be vitally important. First in the pit bay ahead of those behind him.
Usually the first instinct of the AI is to pit, but of course Liam Parnell somewhat saved Dylan Warren from pitting here because Liam Parnell just pitted for hards, and so the AI that controls Dylan Warren's car right now decided to stay out a bit longer because the double stack is obviously much worse than staying out for one extra lap. But I'm pretty sure Dylan Warren, is he back in the car now? I think he might be.
Yeah, I believe he is now. Yes, he is back in the car. We're just obviously waiting for the timing tower to give us certainly the deltas, but I have to say that is really bad timing for Dylan Warren, certainly. But luckily enough, his AI did step in and make that vital decision to stay out. And as they now make their way through the middle sector, now you can see there Ruben Pedreño currently in P10, obviously making the moves earlier on, but he has got a penalty to his name, folks, so don't get too carried away just yet. Modesto Mena going ahead of Eduardo Garcia further down in that battle for 16th place. Further down, Fabio as well up there with his teammate Neon in Ps14 and 15. But as the pit stops now have been rolled out, it's all going to be a question of who's better at this moment in time. Dylan Warren, who's still yet to box, currently making his way down the stretch with Suzu Kersey, who's right in behind him here. I'd imagine that these three will be pitting now. I'd imagine you'd bank on that, Austin, wouldn't you? You'd imagine they would box now.
Yeah, but Dylan Warren has other ideas. He's going longer, and I don't blame him. I think going 10 laps, it's risky, but if it works, and with the AI taking over, obviously the AI is driving a bit slower, therefore has less tire wear, and it helps. So he could go for an extra lap here, and he does. Meanwhile, let me draw your attention to P7, about to be P5. That is Jeffrey Ritchie, who has had a 2-lap undercut, or actually 3-lap undercut, and he has jumped Liam Parnell for the net lead of the race.
He certainly has, and Liam Parnell is all over him like a flannel right now. You could just see him there. Liam Parnell in the Red Bull, of course, who was leading this race by a considerable margin. So that's an incredible undercut by Jeffrey Ritchie in the pit stop phase. 3 laps accrued on those hard tyres, and it's garnered him a little bit of an advantage here. We did wonder what type of call that would be earlier on, but he has chosen to box. He's made the move. He's now technically the net leader of this Bahrain Grand Prix. A sensational, decisive manoeuvre from Jeffrey Ritchie, very intelligent as well, and now Liam Parnell is staring at the rear end of this Alpine and has now got to wonder what he has in order to try and overtake this Alpine car that's currently landing himself in P5. Ahead of him though, we've got plenty still left to box. We've got Dylan Warren, WR Bryn, Javier Fernandez, Manolin as well, who has accrued 9 laps on his hard tyres. We'll have to wait and see how that certainly carries out, as now Neon has retired from the session. We've got an almighty what looks to be 5 cars now out of this Bahrain Grand Prix. 2 McLarens, a Haas, an Alfa Romeo and a Ferrari. It certainly has not been a good day for those drivers, Austin.
Place. Guess where that was? The exit of turn 7. We've talked about it before. We can talk about it again. The exit of turn. This time though, it seems like he was to the right of that exit curve. So he may have tried to counter steer to the right and then ended up in the wall just as well as Alpizkaya did earlier. But same result there. That curve you have to avoid at all costs. Dylan Warren stays out even longer. At this point, I'm starting to wonder what condition are his tires in right now. They must be. He must be basically driving on the rims at this point.
I think he must be. He's certainly pushing them very, very hard. I'm not sure whether this is going to work out for him, but we'll have to wait and see. WR Bryn moved up into P2. Further down, Cartalundi under a little bit of pressure from Shizu Kersey, but he's got 3.8 seconds to find on Ruben Pedreño, who's starting to rear up now on Liam Parnell. That battle is starting to get back to where it was before technically, but of course Liam Parnell was leading that contingent as they now make their way down towards turn 11. There you can see Jeffrey Ritchie in P5, the net leader of this Grand Prix. Liam Parnell in behind as well. In behind him too is Ruben Pedreño, who is of course spotting and looking for a way through against the Red Bull, certainly the AlphaTauri, the sister team of the Red Bull team, looking to try and garner at least some benefit here on this circuit. Certainly if he can try and boost his way ahead in this classification, it'll certainly bode him well through the rest of this Grand Prix. Only 12 laps accrued here in 29 total as they make their way down the stretch. DRS opens up yet again. Can Liam Parnell do the business here heading into turn 1 as they make their way down now? Jeffrey Ritchie still leading the charge, but no move could be made just yet. He might choose to do it just heading in towards turn 4 as they round turns 1, 2, 3 beckons as they round now towards DRS. Opens up again, this time for Liam Parnell. Will he make the move this time heading into turn 4? No, he's not close enough yet. He's going to be a little bit patient, wait a little bit longer. He's going to try and cruise now through turns 5, 6 and 7, staying on the rear of Alpine's Jeffrey Ritchie, but I think this move might be decided between turns 10 and 11.
Yeah, meanwhile, Dylan Warren stayed out again. I think at this point he might go for a soft to medium strategy. I almost can't believe my eyes right now. This strategy should go 5 laps short of the race distance, but he's still going on those soft tires. I'm waiting for the puncture to happen at this point, but it's not happening. What has he done to these tires? Dylan Warren either is a madman or a magician. Either way, he is on a very, very surprising strategy. Surely he's coming in now for medium tires on this lap. And yes, indeed he is. There he goes into the pit lane, but I think it will be the mediums for him. Let's see what his pit crew bring out. That is the yellow wall tire indeed. Soft to medium. The riskiest strategy I've ever seen around this track.
Well, we've seen Jana Watmir do it before. We can obviously wait and see as Liam Parnell dives down the inside here of Jeffrey Ritchie, and very, very academically done, brilliantly, and I have to say, very smooth as you like, certainly from Liam Parnell, and back where he believes he belongs here. Net P1 leading this Grand Prix effectively, considering pit stops from those above. Kersey receives a 3-second time penalty. Liam Parnell, though, enjoying the fruits of his certainly his achievement there, overtaking Jeffrey Ritchie, who's now down in P5. Ruben Ruben Pedreño 6/10 back from him, but he hasn't shaken Richie just yet. It's dropped now to 3/10 of a second, the gap. Nothing separates them really as they round turns 9 and 10. That could all change in a matter of moments, knowing the curbs here at Bahrain as they round through now. And a little lock up there by the Red Bull. I think the Alpine was slightly better in that sort of segment of corners. They now round their way down towards turn 11. DRS opened up for the Alpine here. Will he choose to make the move? Not just yet. I feel there's going to be another move down the home straight here, Austin. These two are going to be gunning it out for victory at the end of this Grand Prix.
Yeah, definitely towards turn 4. There's certainly something coming here from Jeffrey Ritchie. However, Liam Parnell has significantly more ERS. He might decide to just send it, try to drive away, pull that gap to Jeffrey Ritchie to over a second, and leave him out to dry. He doesn't do that just yet, and I think now it's a bit too late that he has DRS for this straight, and then most likely, I mean almost certainly the next one as well. I think there's not much of a point in Liam Parnell trying to use his ERS right now. I think he'll have to do that as soon as they come through turn 4. Use some ERS here and there, just a little spurt out of the corners every single time. And that can gain you a 10th or 2 per corner. And that can easily open up that gap quite significantly because the difference in ERS between these two now still over 30% in battery charge.
Yeah, which might not seem like a lot, but in the context of a race like this, it's actually very vital indeed. You can see there the brakes on Jeffrey Ritchie's car blazing orange right now as they now round the next left-hander. Certainly they get so hot around a track like Bahrain where you're really, really highly pressurized on the brakes. Certainly around this track, certainly heading around turns 9 and 10, you want to ease in and then punch it, ease off gently again in order to try and reduce the opportunity for oversteer. As we're now watching Jeffrey Ritchie now power his way through into Sector 3 yet again. He's got Liam Parnell dead set ahead of him here within 6/10 of a second. That's all the deficit is. All it takes is one opening of DRS, and that could potentially draw him closer as they now wind their way down towards the final few bends here, or the final couple at least. Turns 14 and 15 are dead set ahead of them here. Lap 14 of 29. It's all to play for at this stage of this Grand Prix. We're only halfway into this one, folks. DRS opens up now for Jeffrey Ritchie as they make their way down towards turn 1. I don't see him making the move on this occasion. He might be opting to save a little bit of the battery pack to maybe land a challenge later on. Dylan Warren, though, very quick on those new mediums. He's already brought the delta in between him and Carter Lundy in by a second or so, and he's going to certainly go in great guns right now. He's knocked off another 3/10 in the process as well. Fastest lap garnered by the Red Bull drivers, and now certainly cascade their way through this next chicane or series of corners now. Turns 5, 6 and 7, and there's Jeffrey Ritchie. Half a second the deficit between him and Liam Parnell. Ruben Pedreño also sharing the same deficit as well, so nothing separates them. It all means, I think, that when we come down towards the final 10 laps, or certainly the final 9, between the final 5 to 9 laps, I think we're going to be seeing tempers start to fray. Certainly a lot of battling starting to dwindle. It could all boil over at that point, Austin, and again, the strategies will make the difference, I think, coming to the end of this race.
Yeah, I'm looking at Dylan Warren's lap times right now compared to everyone else, compared to the net leaders especially. Liam Parnell, Jeffrey Ritchie, and Ruben Pedreño. We're talking 9/10 to a second faster. Dylan Warren on those medium tires compared to the slightly used hard tires, but Dylan Warren also riding on board with him. Just a mistake there through turn 13, and that may have cost him a couple tenths there as he's trying to close down on Carter Lundy. Not exactly able to do so. Bryn goes in for medium tires, that is going to be. That's not going to be the soft. They wouldn't last. Medium tires, hard to medium for Bryn. The undercut on Manolin, on his teammate. We'll see how that goes. I think he might actually get that position on him, as well as on Javier Fernandez, who's also apparently going for a medium to soft strategy. Interesting, that one. Did not see that coming. Very surprising. But hey, if Dylan Warren can do it, then Javier Fernandez might be able to do it as well. So 2 drivers going for the most risky strategy that is possible around this circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. It also means he's going to be very quick at the end against those that are on aged hard tyres. So we'll have to wait and see how that works out for him. Liam Parnell right in behind Javier Fernandez. You'd imagine this would be over very, very quickly. There you can see the Red Bull now whittling down that delta gap. It's certainly coming down by the moment as now the Red Bull cruises into P2. And that is very nicely done indeed. Dispatching them as he goes. Excellent manoeuvre by Liam Parnell. In behind you can see there Jeffrey Ritchie also eyeing up a similar maneuver. He might choose to do it heading around this next right-hander, covering off the inside is Javier Fernandez, but it ain't going to be enough. Certainly the Alfa Romeo is going to be in a little bit of jeopardy. A great opportunity here for Liam Parnell, incidentally, to actually try and increase the delta gap between him and Jeffrey Ritchie, and now wind their way through the final corner, and very shortly to end their lap 15 of 29, or lap 16 of 29. Jeffrey Ritchie down the inside here of Javier Fernandez, who's opting to stay out here. Liam Parnell takes the absolute lead of this race. Jeffrey Ritchie up into P2. Ruben Pedreño also needs to do exactly what Liam and Jeffrey have done, overtaking Javier Fernandez. Can he do it before turn 4? Opting for the inside Javier Fernandez. He knows he's beaten, and the AlphaTauri up into P3. We are as we were, folks. Liam Parnell leads, Jeffrey Ritchie in P2, Ruben Pedreño in P3.
Very clever move here by Javier Fernandez to not even put up much of a fight. He had to stay out because the softs still wouldn't make it if he had pitted at the end of last lap. This lap, however, we saw Dylan Warren take softs for 12 laps. Javier Fernandez could do the same. If he can take medium 17, he can surely take softs 12. So I think that's what's going to happen. Javier Fernandez going to pit at the end of this lap, I think, although he hasn't requested his pit crew just yet. So maybe he's going to stay out one longer, or he's going to wait until the last possible moment. But yeah, no point in battling with these guys. You're on a different strategy. You have your own race to worry about. Just let them by as quickly as possible. No point holding them up because you're just holding yourself up.
Yeah, well, at this moment in time, Liam Parnell enjoying currently better tyres than what Jeffrey Ritchie is. Obviously, those 3 laps difference are obviously proving very vital. Jeffrey Ritchie really needs to start getting to work now, maybe trying to get an overtake on Liam Parnell as soon as possible in order to try and get the most effectiveness out of the hard tyres. Other than that, it's certainly a conservation mission to try and hold on to the grip levels of those tyres. Just looking further down, Kersey now looking to make a move here on JST. You can see him behind as well. Dylan Warren getting closer and closer to those, certainly those two as well. Jeffrey Ritchie also getting close to Liam Parnell up at the top end. Of course, we got such an array of battles in between this bunch now. Kersey getting really close to JST as they're around turn 4 now, heading through turns 5, 6 and 7. There's Dylan Warren, the man on the faster tyre, the medium tyres that have only been used for 4 laps now. Plenty of grip left on those. They'll only just be getting into their certainly their prime right now, and certainly he can benefit off that. He's already broken into DRS of Kersey. Great opportunity here for the Red Bull man, but has he got enough time? Has he got enough grip in those tyres to make them last to the end of this race?
That is the big question. I don't have an answer for that, but I mean, there's a couple of drivers running very thin on tyres. I think Javier Fernandez, who finally has pitted, is one of them. Dylan Warren is another, and Jeffrey Ritchie. All 3 of them are going to struggle come the end of the race. The question is, will we see a puncture or will we not? And that only time will tell. It's certainly going to be very, very close for all 3 of them.
Yeah, well, here comes Jeffrey Ritchie now this time. Will he make a move on this occasion heading into turn 1? The Alpine proves very, very good this time. Heads into the lead of this Bahrain Grand Prix. Success at Sakhir here in lap 19 of 29. 10 laps remain in this race. And certainly Jeffrey Ritchie will be loving this right now. Liam Parnell right in behind him is not going to let him go. Nose to tail here at this time here in lap 19 of 29. It's getting so spicy at the sandy circuit of Bahrain. It may be a desert track, but I have to say, the amount of racing we've seen has been absolutely sensational. As we now saw Liam Parnell taking a very aggressive move there. A little mistake around turn 8. Very nearly opening the door there for Ruben Pedreño, who might opt to make a move heading in towards turn 10. Oh, my word, it got so close. Very nearly taking each other out there. Very nearly colliding with that rear wing of Liam Parnell. And that just goes to show how much these drivers are laying on the line as we lose another sink biter out of the race as well, Austin.
Yeah, I tell you what, if Ruben Pedreño had made contact with Liam Parnell there through turn 10, I'm pretty sure Helmut Marko would have called him right after the race to fire him. An AlphaTauri versus a Red Bull, that's never gonna go well if they make contact. But Pedreño's still in this. However, we also have to mention Ruben Pedreño has a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane when he made his pit stop. So he will not be in contention for the win unless absolute calamity strikes and somehow takes out both Jeffrey Ritchie and Liam Parnell. In any other case, Ruben Pedreño is only holding on to third right now.
Yeah, we're looking further down now. We've got a bit of a tie-up now at the midway at the top end. There you can see Kersey taking the outside line into turn one. He's in that Alpine through and absolutely brilliant. Nets himself a P4. Javier Fernandez going quicker on the soft tyres. You would expect that. Dylan Warren now needs to also get moving. Medium tyres on the cards here. The Haas takes the outside line. JST going for a very optimistic manoeuvre here on the outside of the Alpine of Kersey. Wheel to wheel through turns 5, 6 and 7. They're literally touching, nothing separates them, but the Haas has done it. In comes now Dylan Warren, very brave, outside manoeuvre of turn 8, not the best corner to do it, but he's done it, Dylan Warren on the medium tyres, absolutely brilliant stuff, and has managed to find those optimal grip levels, as now we're seeing Liam Parnell right at the mercy of Jeffrey Ritchie again. They're getting so close, it's close across the field, opportunities in abundance. I don't know what to expect, but what a move from Dylan Warren out of turn 8, Austin.
Yeah, surely he's going to size up JST for the next one. Down the main straight or into turn 4. Either way, he still has more grip, but you can see it really. How much more pace he can carry through the corners. Dylan Warren certainly with another opportunity here on JST to potentially make the move into turn 1 or turn 4. Meanwhile, Liam Parnell with a massive overspeed on Jeffrey Ritchie. That is about the easiest overtake I've ever seen on this track. The amount of speed he had there as HX4K. Yeah, HX4K coming out of the pit lane, the disconnected car that is. And now here comes Jeffrey Ritchie, maybe back on Liam Parnell. No, he's not close enough just yet. I don't think it's going to happen unless there was a massive dive bomb, which does not occur, thankfully. And Ruben Pedreño, he's really holding himself out of this. He does not want them to fight. He wants to just get on, get away from the guys behind as much as possible because he knows he's got that penalty. So he just has to get the best race time possible and not really worry too much about those right around him.
Yeah, if Ruben Pedreño, as far as he's concerned, he needs to get busy. Dylan Warren is showing some incredible pace right now, and he's dispatching cars left, right, and centre. He did it to Kersey. He's done it to JST. He is absolutely flying here at the Sandy Circuit. Further up, you can see there Liam Parnell doing his best to hold off the relentless force. That is the man in the Alpine, Jeffrey Ritchie, who has had an impressive drive here tonight. It's been absolutely exceptional. Ruben Pedreño, who stayed with them right through, knows that he might be in jeopardy here. Jeffrey Ritchie, though, a 3-second time penalty, and that's going to be very crucial at this stage. He now knows it's not the time to mess around. It's time to look busy. The Alpine now around the next bend. He surely will open up the DRS. Will he opt to make a move once again heading into turn 1? It seems also ominous. Oh, so simple. Can he make the maneuver? It looks like Pedreño might have a better chance, but still Liam Parnell holds on as we're now watching Jeffrey Ritchie in P2 now whittle his way through turns 2 and now 3. DRS opens up again. Will he choose to do it this time? Heading around turn 4. No, waiting in behind Liam Parnell. But that 3-second time penalty is going to be extremely vital now, Austin. He needs to be a nuisance now on the rear of that Red Bull of Liam Parnell. Not the best way to finish a Grand Prix.
Yeah, that being said, we talked earlier about Liam Parnell and Jeffrey Ritchie and their ERS levels, that Liam Parnell had about 30 to 40% more. Well, that has completely shifted. Now it's Jeffrey Ritchie with a 20% advantage as Catalundi retires. Oh my goodness. Turn 7 has caught another victim. I can't believe it. 3 drivers have retired on the exit of turn 7. Catalundi only the latest victim of that exit curb right there. He's made, a little bit of a not so much a friend, more of a foe, I think, with that corner and that curb right there. But Catalundi out of the race now, and his car is parked. And let's look at Dylan Warren's current recent lap. 28.0 was his last lap. Ruben Pedreño is running 28.5. That's a very strong lap for him. I think the third fastest of his stint so far. Jeffrey Ritchie, 28.3. I think that is the second fastest lap of his stint. So these tires are really coming of age. The hards are not getting much worse. And Liam Parnell, 28.4. So Dylan Warren is not gaining as much. He's gaining a couple of tenths here and there, but it's not as much as it was originally. These tires have worn out significantly faster than the hards have, and Dylan Warren is going to do well to just keep them in check at this point, because remember, you have to make them last to the end, and those medium tires are not supposed to last 17 laps, but he's certainly trying to make them.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what you got to do if you want to win races. Tyre conservation and pace, two of the vital ingredients that you need in order to succeed at this sport. As we're now watching these cars now whittle their way through Sector 3. Liam Parnell enjoying P1 right now in behind. Jeffrey Ritchie, though, has been a thorn in his side all race long. Ruben Pedreño as well, waiting, just biding his time. Is he waiting for the opportune moment to strike? We'll have to wait and see. In behind, though, Dylan Warren trying his best to garner at least something upon these top three. Remember, though, he has not got any time penalties. If he can get or extract some more out of those mediums, it will help him, but it's all too simple now for Jeffrey Ritchie, who takes the inside line, paddock side here against Liam Parnell, and takes it before turn one. Brilliant maneuver there, but it will open the door here for Liam Parnell to maybe try and regain the spot heading down towards turn 4 as they whittle their way around turn 3. Fabio gets a 3-second time penalty. No move so far for Liam Parnell. I think he may opt to just stay in behind at this rate, maybe just save a little more ERS to challenge back later on. We've still got 5 laps remaining here, folks, and there's the tyre difference. Jeffrey Ritchie, 10% more wear, well, I'd say, actually between 5 and 10%. Certainly the rears are taking more punishment right now, but Liam Parnell better on the tyres, as you would expect, because he's got 3 laps on Jeffrey Ritchie.
Yeah, that could come in crucial towards the end. These tires have a bit of a drop-off point at around 65 to 70% tire wear. And at that point, we will see as Duza's out. And that's, oh no. That is, well, guess what? Turn 7. I cannot believe that's 4 drivers now.
A familiar curb taking another victim. I have to say, turn 7 has not been the driver's friend here today. Ruben Pedreño getting a nicer exit, though, and he might choose to make a move here on Liam Parnell if he's not too careful as they now round through the next couple of bends here in this lap 24 of 29. We're coming down towards the grand finale very shortly, folks, and Ruben Pedreño might have a chance here as he now makes his way down the stretch now. You can see him just vying up on the Red Bull, takes the near sideline, may choose a double overtake. Ruben Pedreño, that is naughty. The AlphaTauri wheel to wheel now with Jeffrey Ritchie, who's getting some of his own medicine. Not this time, no. Ruben Pedreño holds on, though. Takes P2 away from Liam Parnell. That was bold, majestic, a grand effort, but not enough to take the top spot off Jeffrey Ritchie. Oh, so close between all these 3 drivers. What a watch this has certainly been.
Yeah, the only difference that we're going to have between those 3 at the end of the day is going to be the penalties. That is just, sometimes it's just so crucial to keep the car within the white lines at least 99.9% of the time. You're allowed to have 2 little excursions off the track. The third one will net you a penalty, and it's also important to slow down in time for the pit lane entry. That's what got Ruben Pedreño his 5-second time penalty. So ultimately, Liam Parnell right now still looks like he is going to win this race, but Jeffrey Ritchie, look at that, he's making a run for it. He's trying to get away. The gap now between Ritchie and Parnell is over a second. Thankfully for Parnell, though, Pedreño's still in the middle of it, so DRS for both of them down the main straight.
Certainly will be. Pedreño might choose to maybe make another move. He knows that he's got the capability. He did it last time. Nearly took the both in the last lap, but he might choose to hang back. In fact, I don't think he has a choice. He's holding on to P2 at least for now, and he's got Jeffrey Ritchie well within DRS at least for now. It's going to be a question of who can be bravest on these tyre compounds. Dylan Warren's brought the time gap within another second in the last 2 laps, so he is making some steady progress, but will it be enough before the end of this race? It looked to be a masterstroke of an effort for the Red Bull team, but it all seems to have turned upside down. Liam Parnell still on the cards for a race win should things stay as they are right now. Certainly I'm talking about certainly time deltas as well, considering that there's penalties on offer for the top two right now as they make their way down through the next left. Turn 10 beckons once again. There you can see the Alpine there, Jeffrey Ritchie, Ruben Pedreño locking horns in behind too. Liam Parnell trying to stay within DRS as well of Ruben Pedreño as they wind their way up through towards turn 11. Ruben Pedreño actually looking to draw away clear from Liam Parnell. Now, is that because of ERS levels? We'll have to wait and see. Is Liam Parnell struggling without the use of ERS, or is he just struggling with the apexes? That is the golden question as Ruben Pedreño rounding that next right-hander. Dylan Warren still edging closer and closer. There you can see that turn of foot on that AlphaTauri as they make their way down now towards turn 14 and 15. Again, the AlphaTauri turning, looking to turn things up a notch once again as they come up now past the paddock pit lane, making their way down towards turn 1. Ruben Pedreño with a great chance of taking the lead in this Grand Prix for the first time in this race. Near side move, overtakes Jeffrey Ritchie, and that is a rich maneuver from Ruben Pedreño. Leads the Bahrain Grand Prix for the first time in this race so far. 2 laps left now. What's going to happen? Can Liam Parnell hold out to the end, or will it be the case that Pedreño pulls off a flyer with only a minimal remaining laps left in this race?
Yeah, and don't forget, potentially, I don't think Ruben Pedreño can get his penalty removed unless he could actually show that he was on 80 kilometers an hour exactly on pit entry and it was an unjustified penalty there. Then he might be able to get that 5 seconds removed, but it's very unlikely. I've only seen that once or twice that it was actually a glitch by the game, that it had him on 80 kilometers an hour, which is the pit limit here, but still gave a penalty. I don't think on F1 2021 it's become much more likely. Jeffrey Ritchie, however, he might be able to get his 3 seconds removed if he can show that he, for example, got 2 warnings on 1 infringement, which can happen, but I don't think, looking at it, that it did happen, or that he got pushed wide and had to take an infringement that way. That is still possible, so we should never say never. You should always fight for the position. Liam Parnell, by the way, is playing a very dangerous game. He's trying to save as much ERS as he can for the last lap or 2, which the penultimate lap just started, so that he can make a last-ditch effort, a Hail Mary throw down the inside somewhere to get those positions back.
Well, it's a brave call, and he was a little bit wide out of turn 1, which isn't going to help Ruben Pedreño. Oh, no. Another 3-second time penalty there for the AlphaTauri. Jeffrey Ritchie in P2 now can sense that there is trouble as well. Liam Parnell, yet to get a penalty, is currently on task to get in the victory here for the very first race of this, well, certainly this amazing season that we've got underway here on the PC. This top-tier level action with some of the best in league racing coming to roost here at Racing Liga. It's been absolutely brilliant watching these guys tackle the circuit of Bahrain. Only 11 will finish so far. Could all change. Going wide though, Jeffrey Ritchie, and that could prove costly as now Ruben Pedreño can kick on slightly. It won't be enough to obviously breach that penalty gap that he's got, but certainly Liam Parnell can gain a little more as they now wind through the next left and right, soon to be in Sector 3 proper. The AlphaTauri, Ruben Pedreño still at the mercy as sparks fly with Jeffrey Ritchie left behind as he goes off the track there. The AlphaTauri grips down to really make a mockery of these 3 now as they round their way down through towards the next couple of bends there at turn 14 and 15. Ruben Pedreño holding on. Jeffrey Ritchie though, and well, certainly has the man at his mercy as the Alpine now scoots down the home straight and trying to weave out of the slipstream as Ruben Pedreño, but it's all for nothing as Jeffrey Ritchie takes the lead of the race here now and is now looking to try and power on through. JST moves ahead of Dylan Warren as well. The strategy has not worked for the Red Bull. Dylan Warren losing out to JST, who is on 19 lap old hards. Dylan Warren's mediums must be ever so scuffed right now. It just has not worked out for the young Englishman in the Red Bull car. He's in P5 now. JST, great show of determination on 19 lap old hards, but an incredible race this has been, certainly, as they round turn 8 here. Jeffrey Ritchie leading the way, Austin.
Warren realizes that this was the battle for the podium because Ruben Pedreño has 8 seconds worth of penalties, so he will definitely fall below these 2. So this was actually a battle for the podium. JST right now in a net 3rd place after penalties. Jeffrey Ritchie in a net P2, I would say Liam Parnell the net lead still after penalties, but Ruben Pedreño will fall down all the way to 6th, I think.
But we're now watching them cascade through the next stripe for the final time. It's been such a dynamic and incredible race here, and I hope you all enjoyed it. But I hope you leave a like and subscribe, of course, to Racing Liga. It's been a pleasure bringing you the action as Jeffrey Ritchie comes around the final 2 bends. He will take the win on track, but it will be Liam Parnell without question. Determination. It's got him the victory here in the Bahrain Grand Prix. Another time penalty as well. Give it to Ruben Pedreño before the end, but JST, what a visit. P3 for that man. A great battle towards the end. That crucial overtake on Dylan Warren got him the podium. An incredible drive. Jeffrey Ritchie held on for a massive P2 result and a well-deserved one at that. But congratulations, Liam Parnell. A fantastic win, and Red Bull starting things off with an incredible positive bounce. It's been a phenomenal action-packed Grand Prix, isn't it, Austin?
Yeah, and there's many more to come. I mean, this is just the season opener. We have so many more races to come, and I cannot wait. Every Thursday here on the channel. So excited for this championship. Liam Parnell, the champion from last season, getting off to exactly the right start that he was certainly hoping for. Gets the win here on the opener, and I mean, that's the best way to start your hunt for the 2nd title in a row, back-to-back championships. Certainly the attempt for Liam Parnell, and he's made the right start for it.
He certainly has. P1 in your first race. You cannot say fairer than that, and he's going to be delighted with that result indeed. Around the circuit of Bahrain, one of the certainly testing circuits. It's an endurance test around this track, certainly to try and get tyres to last, and obviously try and manage your strategy. We saw many different strategies out there today, but Liam Parnell held firm and managed to secure an excellent victory, and you got to give credit to him for that. JST, of course, getting himself into the podium places. What an effort in that final lap to get past Dylan Warren, who looked to be on a very interesting strategy to cap off, and a certainly scintillating Grand Prix, but nevertheless, it was not to be for Dylan Warren. Great move by JST to get that P3, of course, but Jeffrey Ritchie, of course, very valiant P2 effort, fought right to the end with Liam Parnell, which was great to see. There, we'll have a look at the final grid placings, of course, folks, before we cap off the end of this stream. Liam Parnell, what a drive, taking that P1 spot. Jeffrey Ritchie in P2, JST in P3, well, certainly finishes off the podium sitters. Ruben Pedreño in P4, Dylan Warren a mighty P5 after a grandiose effort to really turn the strategy upside down, just wasn't to be. Kersey in P6, Manolin in P7 with WR Bryn in P8, Fabio in P9 with Modesto Mena in P10. We lost Hawk earlier on. Javier Fernandez was one of the DNFs, as well as VRT Duza. We lost loads in this race. Cartalundi is also a DNF with Biter, Neon, Eduardo Garcia, Finch, Ozkaya, and Gablewon. They, of course, were all DNFs. But I have to say, Austin, what a way to kickstart a championship, a fight right through the entire grid order. It was a hugely testing race, lots of fighting out on the track, which is what we like to see. That is what league racing's all about, isn't it?
It certainly is, and this was about the best opener I've ever been able to see on a game, and I think a lot of drivers have learned about that turn 7 around Bahrain, that pesky turn 7 as well. Very, very sad to see so many drivers being caught out by that curb. But yeah, there's more to come on the next tracks. So I think the drivers are going to have to prepare for that very well. Test out all the curbs, see what's going on there, what curb will catch you out, which one won't. And hopefully we get a few more finishers next time around as well.
Absolutely. Well, I'm hoping we'll be able to see some more racing action. Of course, it's been a pleasure, certainly for me. But Austin, obviously, you're going to be watching this entire season. This is where you'll be certainly broadcasting Formula One League racing here at Racing Liga. Just what are your hopes and expectations for the future rounds? Obviously, we've started off excellently with Bahrain. Where can you see it going from here? Would you say Liam Parnell is the outright favourite for the championship again?
Surely, you would have to include him in that. He's the reigning champion. He won the opener. I think it's hard to get around him. as the favorite right now, but seeing how close it was there between the top three, between him, Jeffrey Ritchie, and Ruben Pedreño. Don't forget HX4K, don't forget Dylan Warren, don't forget JST. There's many drivers who are capable of getting good results, getting wins in here. And if the first season of the Racing, or the previous season of Racing League Global was anything to go by, we had no driver in an 8-race season. We had no driver winning more than twice. In fact, only one driver won twice. Everyone else only won once. And Liam Parnell last season didn't even win a race, and he won the championship. So anything can happen here. Anything is possible. And I'm so looking forward to France next week. It is a track I know that a lot of people do not like, but at least on the game, it can produce some great, great racing.
Absolutely. Well, if you all enjoyed that, obviously at home, please obviously hammer the live chat. I want to hear from you. Ace, did you enjoy the coverage? I have to say it was absolutely incredible to watch this all unfurl out tonight on Bahrain. Obviously pushing the drivers to the limits, and as Austin said, it all rolls over to Paul Ricard now for the next round in this championship. It certainly has been a pleasure bringing you the racing action here tonight. But nevertheless, it's going to be interesting to see where the championship leads. Can Liam Parnell hold on, of course? I mean, I'm not sure whether we've got any interviews, Austin, here for this one.
I mean, Liam was just asking earlier, but I think I think it's been too late now. I think we're just gonna send it over to France for next week. And once again, thank you so much for everyone watching. Thank you so much, George, for stepping in that shortly. Very, very much appreciate that. And yeah, it was thanks to all the drivers for this very entertaining spectacle, I have to say.
Yeah, it was absolutely brilliant, folks. And if you want to see more, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the Racing Liga channel, of course, and stay up to date with all the RL Global stuff. Top tier F1 racing, of course, for the 2021 series. Stay up to date with all the action on their Twitter as well. They'll keep you up to date with all the standings at Racing Liga, of course. And you can obviously stay tuned in for more racing. I'm sure Austin will bring you as well. And you can also check me out on Twitter too, at George Morgan TV. And obviously, Austin, why don't you tell them your Twitter tag while we're at it?
Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated, unfortunately, because I have a pesky 3 in there, but it's Badgerman TV with that E being replaced by a 3. It's always a bit difficult. I'm trying to get that changed at some point, but that relies on my Twitch going well.
No, that's absolutely fine. Well, you know where to find us, folks. We'll see you next time, of course. Well, Austin, we'll see you next time. You'll see me, I'm sure, at least somewhere along the grapevine. But it's been a pleasure, folks. Do take care of yourselves. It's been special. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.